Welcome along to One Hub Racing Season 27, when we're back with some more racing around Canada, but this time it is the pinnacle of One Hub Racing. Welcome to the P1 tier as we head to the circuit Gilles Villeneuve. It's provided some great action tonight. Will we see the same with these sweats? My name is GeForce, and joining me once again, just like last week, we have Mike Edwards, also known as I've Been Mike. Mike, how you doing?
I am doing fantastic, Jess. Obviously, we've had a great day of racing so far, and now we get to look at the pinnacle, the guys that are inch perfect around almost every single track other than the most hated ones. Will this be a race of the season candidate? It's got potential to be, in my opinion.
Yes, because with how close a lot of these guys are, I think we could see some close battles out there on the track. In particular, with our top guys, I'm interested to see how our championship contenders fare, including last week's race winner, Marco. But the story, I have to say, from last week, two punchers from the title favourites, Ben Mills and Callum Arm. We thought it was going to get crazy with Ben getting a puncher, but then Callum got a puncher in the opening few laps after that. It was very frustrating for both of them, but on paper tonight, after seeing a few practice sessions, they're looking like they're going to be the quickest ones on paper.
Yeah, and it's going to be a redemption race for the pair of them. I think they both want to come into this with a point to prove after what happened last week, so wouldn't be surprised to see both of them trying their best to break away from the pack and just leave it between those two for the race win.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen the lap times and it's insane. So I'm not going to spoil things too much because we've got some crazy racing to get on with. So Formula One first came to Montreal in the 1970s, but it hasn't been the first Grand Prix circuit in Canada. There was quite a few tracks, including Motorsport Park in 1967. It was originally called the Arles Notre Dame circuit, but because Gilles Villeneuve crashed at like in a fatal accident in 1982, the track was renamed at his honour. It's held its race almost every year since 1978, with just two exceptions. One of them, of course, was due to COVID. And one of the things we're going to see tonight, I think, is lots of time penalties. We saw that affected quite all of the races in P2 and P3, so we're going to see it tonight. But the weather, we were informed in the pre-race show with myself and Jay Carl that it's going to be a dry race and a dry qualifying. It's light clouds to overcast in qualifying, and it's overcast to clear to overcast in the race. So at least in qualifying, they're not going to get blinded by the sun.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, all the drivers will be very happy about that, because the glare on this circuit can really cause some issues, especially into those chicanes.
Yeah, I think we were practicing earlier on in the week, and I think both of us had a little bit of a nightmare trying to make sure that we didn't have a nightmare with those chicanes. So, without further ado then, let's get started with the qualifying session. We've got quite a decent turnout here this evening, which is always great to see from our top tier. We've got 18 drivers, 2 drivers missing. I'm trying to remember who they are. One of them was Catherine, and I'm trying to remember who the other one is, but I'm sure we'll get through to that in just a moment. So let me get all the data that you need so you could see everything that the drivers want to be able to see, what the drivers' engineers anyway. So here we go then with qualifying. The first driver out on circuit is one of the Williams, I believe. It is, of course, the Williams. It is Ben Mills. Let's take us on board a lap around this circuit. Mike, do you want to take us through?
Yep, obviously on the exit of turn number 2 now, coming into chicane at 3 and 4. Very easy to invalidate there, but Ben Mills gets to it absolutely lovely. Now, first sector split, 19.4 as we come through 7 and 8, I believe, actually. No, 6 and 7. Yeah, but DRS wide open now for Ben Mills as he comes down into 9 and 10. Again, another area where it is so easy to invalidate. Now, the hairpin at turn 11. Very easy to run a little bit deep in race conditions, Jess. And of course, it's definitely one of those one of those places on track where you can take alternative lines as well. And Ben Mills gets that beautifully. DRS wide open now into the final chicane. The wall of champions, avoiding the wall, but getting up and close and personal to it as he comes across the line. And it's an 8.9 to get underway.
I think one of the first drivers of the night to get into the 108 already. So the first driver to do so, Casper on his banker says a 109.7. Pell, we just come across the line with a 109.8. We got one of the Ferraris up across the line. That is Nick, and Colin sets a 195. So that's really impressive from Colin. He's looking like that he wants to have a good race. He was hoping, he spoke to me after the pre-race show, he was hoping that there was going to be rain, but unfortunately that was not the case for him because he wanted to, he said, quote unquote, to redeem himself. But we got more drivers heading on their runs. The next one will be Axelot, the driver that we went on board with, you know, the hot lap video. Massive shout out to him, by the way, through the wall. And he invalidated in the last corner. So easy to do, though, Mike.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so easy to do, just turn in slightly too early or slightly too late, and you're picking up an invalidation. And yeah, not ideal for Axlock, but he will be gearing up to go again on his second run now. Jess, obviously, this early on in the qualifying section, you really just want to get a lap time on the board. And if you're Axlock, do you come straight back into the pits, put on another fresh set of softs, or do you try and go again if you got the fuel for it?
Well, we have seen, especially in the P3 tier, I don't know what happened in the P2 tier because I was mainly focusing on my laps, but in the P3 tier, we saw multiple drivers take different runs on the soft tyres. They took two or more runs because they weren't going to use it in the race. Now, because there's a lobby restart, it is possible that they could do that, but I won't be surprised if we'll see multiple drivers doing multiple runs. I think Curry's going to do one of them. There's a lot of invalidations. J. Cole's just invalidated too. What about Lukey? Where is he? Out on circuit. Of course, he finished on the podium last week. He loved the wet conditions. He's probably not going to be very happy that it's going to be dry tonight because he hates the hotter conditions, especially since it's hot here in the UK as well. So Lukey goes up to the line and it's going to be a 109.8, which puts him into P7. And that's majority of people that have done their first run. Still 4 drivers yet to set a lap.
Yeah, 4 drivers yet to set a lap, and currently on board with Curry, who's coming through the middle sector now, coming up to the middle sector split. And he's still valid so far, which is all good for him. Middle sector time of a 41.9 as we come into the hairpin.
Yeah, of course. For those of you that don't know, one of our drivers has not showed up for pre-season or race 1. So we decided to let him go and replace Curry instead, who's been a really good staple to One Hub Racing last season. He was really keen to come back. So he is back, and we're really delighted. Of course, teammates with Marco, they get on so well together, so excited to see how they can do. Curry gets his lap not to the best of starts, but he knows that, of course, he's got a lot of work to do to fit in against drivers that have been racing for pretty much 2 races now, if you include the pre-season race.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I would imagine that Curry's also been racing as well, just to get his eye in on the game and everything. But yeah, I mean, he's coming in and he's putting in a good account for himself early on, and a 10.1 banker is nothing to scoff at.
No, that's nothing to be scoffed at as well, especially when you still got some people might be on higher fuel runs, or he might be on a high fuel run himself. So pretty good as well. So I know he could go up from there. So that just leaves Robot. He's going to have a bit of dirty air against him, which has played a big factor in the tiers tonight. So Robot, of course, did not do well. Retired from the race late on last week. And because of that, his engine wear is going to look awful. But he slots himself into P8 on 109.8. That is pretty good. You should see the gaps going through from Colin all the way down to Kieran. That is just insane. We thought P2 was close. Look at those times from P1, with the exceptions of our top 2.
Yeah, times are incredibly close. And of course, these are just the first and second runs that everyone is on right now. So expect these times to improve, Jess, as we go through the session.
Yeah, the track evolving, of course. It gets a bit more overcast as we get to the end of the session, so the cooler conditions might suit more of our drivers compared to others. So people might be a lot better with their laps early on as well. So Robite, I think, has got a lot of work to do. So everyone now is going for their second runs. And what we notice as well in the lower tiers, we see people getting 4 runs done in qualifying, but you really have to go out straight away. So I won't be surprised to see people do 4 runs as Callum slots himself into P1. That final corner past the wall of champions looked absolutely sensational from the Welshman. And of course, he's got to redeem himself after getting a puncher last week. He would have been up there, but 1:08.9, not that far off Ben Mills. Ben Mills is unfortunately invalidated, so he's probably going to have to abort that and go into the pits. But Marco's on a mission, Mike. He's purple sector 1.
Yeah, he's up in sector 1 and he's trying now to make sure that he's up there with Ben and Callum, because of course we saw last week he was right on pace with the two of them and he was able to capitalize at the end, and he's 2.5 tenths up. So I think it's all going to come down to that final chicane, Jess. How much speed can he take through it? He's going to get a little bit of a long-range tow from the Sauber up ahead, I would imagine. A little bit of a long-range tow, but we'll see if that's going to help him into the final chicane now.
This
Quite
is looking
tentative, I'm going to say.
Yeah, Callum looks a bit more, I think, calm through there as well, as Marco slots himself into P5. That is not what I was expecting, and Kieran is in P4. Now, apologies, I've used the wrong overlay, so I'm going to try and fix it, because otherwise I will forget. I should have checked before, but we were on a quick start to make sure we didn't lose any viewers, so let me switch it through. Hopefully that looks better for you guys. We do apologise about that. But your all running order then is as follows. Callum Unarmed in P1, Ben Mills P2, Furious P3, Kieran P4, Marco P5, Colin P6, Atslot P7, Nick P8, Casper in P9. And we just saw Ricardo go into P9 as well with a 1097. That's impressive.
Yeah. 9.7 for Ricardo, just jumps up ahead of Casper. Casper on the outlap right now, so he's getting himself geared up to go again. As do we have anyone on a flying lap right now?
Is it Casper? I think Casper's on a lap. Starting. Yeah, Casper's just starting, and he's been sharing his laps to me and saying that he was looking to improve race after race, and to be honest, him saying a 1097 is a banker lap for him at the moment. He knows he can find more time, but with some drivers, they don't want to show off their true pace straight away. So I think they just want to get a feeler for the track. So for quite a lot of people, it's going to be some sighter laps. So Casper's on a run. We also got Robite on his second run. He's heading towards turn 3 now. Curry is on another run as well in the Mercedes. He's just behind these lot. And Ben Mills on an out lap. So let's watch Casper making his way through the DRS straight. And I've seen people run low wings here, and I don't know how they do it, but it is a track that requires higher downforce, and that's really frustrating for Casper. He is invalidated. But let's watch on the next driver on a lap, which is Robite. He is invalidated as well. That's not good news. Curry, though, goes up to the line. I think he's down on his lap time, so he gets to go again as well. This is going well, isn't it, Mike? Not. And Chris is up, though. That's a good sign.
Yeah, I was about to say Chris up in Sector 1, so we'll see what he can do now in Sector 2. So Chris, he was marginally up in Sector 1, and he's gained a 10th in Sector 2, so he needs to find a bit more time in the final sector if he wants to be climbing any positions. But anything that improves in your lap time is good for the mindset, I'd say, Jess, going into the final runs.
Yeah, I think, of course, Chris definitely wants to be a bit higher than that. A 10.5 is Something that I think he would need to find a bit more time. He needs to get into the 109s, 108s, really. So he goes up to a line of 10-1. That still puts him in last place. So he's got a lot of work to do, as is a lot of our drivers, as I think quite a few drivers are going into the pits. One driver I got to keep an eye on is Furious. Furious has been looking so good in practice. He always gets frustrated with himself that he's not as quick as the fast guys. But at the moment, he is the best of the rest. He's currently sitting in P3. He even said in his pre-race interview that he does like this circuit, and he's been practicing quite a lot on this track. I was practicing with him earlier, and he was looking very good. So if it was a driver that could be a dark horse, I think it could be Furious. But Callum Unarmed is just saying, no, thank you. You're not getting past me with my lap time. 1:84 for him. And Colin slots himself into P5. But I think Furious, one to watch out for. Kieran as well, P3. He's got something to redeem himself after choosing the wrong tyre in Silverstone last week.
Yeah, I mean, something to prove definitely for Kieran. And of course, he is someone as well that always has fantastic pace as well. Does Kieran. So I'm expecting a good race from him. I'm expecting a good race from Colin as well.
Nick's retired from the session. It looked like he's binned it in the wall of champions from the mini-map. So yeah, that's his qualifying done, Mike.
Yeah, and that's going to be extremely frustrating for Nick. Of course, right now he's in P8 with a 9.6. You would expect some improvements from some of the guys in behind him. Casper, of course, being one. Lukey as well. Robite, another one. Owen, J. Cole. There's definitely going to be some improvements from behind, so that's going to be extremely frustrating for the Ferrari driver.
Of course, he's home track, Nick. So he wants to do well here, of course, and he's not showing it and bottled under the pressure as J. Cole slots himself into P13, and Alexa has unfortunately invalidated his run. Now, Alexa was called to the driver's press conference this week, and he was asked how he's been finding the P1 tier so far, and is he confident of having a good first season, and what is his goals? He says it's challenging, drivers are very fast and I need to improve a lot. I'm confident I'll have good at season. I see myself to finish in the points for most of the races. That's a good goal to have for this tier. If you finish in the points, then you've done something well. Alexa, if I was him, go into the pits, get one final run. But it's nice to hear from those new drivers, and he's just taking every race as it comes. But points is a good starting point for Alexa.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking from experience, and the moment that you get points in P1, that's something that just brings a smile on your face, and it just helps you continue on. It's incredibly frustrating if it's race after race with no points, but as soon as you get your first points, usually it's followed by more good results.
Yeah, I mean, the more consistently you can score points, the better it will be, as Ricardo's unfortunately just invalidated his lap as well. Great to see quite a lot of you in the chat. We will go for a few more of our media day stuff as we head into the build-up towards the race whilst we have that lobby restart. But now it is to draw our attention to qualifying. So the fastest lap will get pole position. And don't forget, the one who has the most combined poles and fastest lap will win a pair of sim racing gloves or socks provided by Pure Sim Gear, one of our sponsors. So massive shout out to them. There's quite a lot of drivers that just got one. No one's got the pole and fastest lap. So everyone that's got a pole or fastest lap is currently leading the leaderboard, joint leaders in the leaderboard. And what we saw last season, we saw pretty much multiple people tied for first place in that. We had to spin a wheel, so hopefully we won't get to that. We'll have a definite winner, but we'll have to wait and see. So, final half of qualifying, and we got our final laps awaiting you. Our first driver out on a lap at the moment. It's Owen, but I believe, let me check his telemetry, he's on a banker lap. Yes, he's on a banker. He is not going to be pushing just yet.
Yeah, Alexa just crossed the line. Marginal improvement for Alexa. Doesn't gain any positions, but holds it down in P16 for the time being. But enough time, I think, to recharge the battery and go again. Of course, very easy to gain battery around here when you drop it down to 0, which is quite unusual considering how high speed this circuit is.
It is really high speed. Honestly, it's a lot of fun, but we know that these drivers are going to lose their rears quite quickly, especially around this corner, turn number 8. If you get that completely wrong, you could have lockups potentially as well. So as Casper, he's not able to improve on his lap time. We did see a Haas driver that's binned it, unfortunately, but it is the calm before the storm. Who is going to be the one that takes top honours in the P1 tier? We're going to have to find out. I can't see how many time we've got left because there's yellow flags everywhere. There we go. Thank you very much. 25 seconds to go. Colin's going to be the first driver to set a lap time. What's it going to be for him? Answer on the postcard, please. 194. That's very good from him. J. Cole is on an out lap. Callum is improving by half a tenth, so that's really good for him. So we see more
Ben's
drivers
in.
going into the pits. Ben is in, so he's not going to be able to improve. He says he's quite happy on his lap. I think there's a bit of a mistake, or maybe he just hasn't left enough time. Next across the line will be Kieran, Mike.
Yep. Yeah, not sure what happened with Ben there. Obviously, middle sector, he was down by a second, so he backed off quite early in his lap. Here comes Kieran, and that's an invalidation for him.
And he binned
Having
it as
the World
well.
Champions.
That's where we saw quite a few drivers bin it in both tiers tonight. So, Kieran, let's hope you don't do that tonight, yeah? Because otherwise there could be a spot of bother. Owen, though, he's 2 tenths up. So maybe his banker lap might have helped him ever so slightly. He goes up to the line. It's a 109.5. That puts him in the top 10. He'll be happy with that. Callum Unarmed has beaten Ben at his own game. Goes into P1. Marco sorts him up into P3. We've got his teammate Curry, who's just about to finish his lap. No, he's not. He's going into the pits. J. Cole, I believe, is going to be next to cross the line. Can he improve on a 109.8? Yes, he can. To 12th position on 109.6. We've got one of the Ferraris. Colin, he goes in into the pit lane. Lukey does not improve. So that's it then. Qualifying is over, and it is Callum Unarmed by 0.2 per second that takes pole from Ben Mills. 3 drivers into the 108. So that is insane.
Yeah, absolutely incredible laps from Callum, Ben, and Marco. They're all getting into the 108s, and a big lap that Marco had to put together as well to make sure that he's right there with those 2 in front, because Marco's got to be looking at both Ben and Callum as the big threats for this season in terms of the Drivers' Championship.
Yeah, and people may think, oh, it's too early to think about the Drivers' Championship. Nope, it's not. You're going to be thinking about your rivals earlier on, because if you don't, then you're going to lose focus for what's to happen for the rest of the season. So, your order then for the race is as follows. Callum Unarmed, P1, Ben Mills, P2, Marco, P3, Kieran, P4, Axelot, P5, and we got Furious, P6. Colin will be happy with a P7. That's very impressive, 109.2. Casper in 8th, Pelzy 9th, and then we got a Sauber front row with Owen joining his teammate in P10. Then we got the home favourite, Nick, in 11th. Then we got Jaco in 12th, Ricardo 13th, Lukey 14th, Robite 15th, Chris 16th, Alexa 17th, and Curry is in 18th spot. And now the drivers will be retiring for this dummy race, so then Lukey could set the grid for the main action. I'm still a bit baffled as to why Ben Mills thought that his lap was good enough, because Callum proved that it wasn't, and Callum proved that he slots him down to P1. It's going to be a good fight, actually, between Callum and Ben going into the season, actually. I'll try and find the image of the rivalries in just a moment. But before we get into the rivalries, I'm still a bit baffled as to why Ben did not get another lap in. Did he just come out too late?
He was on a lap, but the middle sector split just said he was over a second down. So I think he might have made a mistake in the first sector and just completely backed off, thinking his lap was over and done with.
Yeah, I think so as well. So that was a bit unfortunate, of course. But let's bring up the rivalry section that it is not brand new, but it is brand new to the season, of course, because we haven't had it last week. So we've got some rivalries to get going with. So they both answered, which is good news. So the question was, you two have had a proper ding-dong of a battle last time out at Silverstone on different tyres, and it was great to watch. I agree with that. Thank you, Pressman. It's the pattern we are likely to see going forwards, and GT you guys see yourself as direct competitors? Ben saying, really enjoyed defending from Callum last week after my strategy blunder. Managing to keep him behind him on worse tyres gives me confidence for future races, and hopefully we can have some nice battles this season. Callum is definitely one of the quickest, so I see him as a contender and a rival. Looking forward to seeing what happens in Canada this evening. And Callum responded, it's so nice to see Ben defending correctly and not doing anything silly. Someone to have many battles with in the future. So positive rivalry at the moment, which I really like. And you can tell from that race in Silverstone, they enjoyed it, and we really enjoyed it in the commentary box.
Yeah, absolutely. And there is that old saying as well, Jess, iron sharpens iron. And I think with these two battling, they're just going to get better and better over the season as well. And obviously with Marco in the mix as well, it's going to be a fantastic, fantastic battle between all three of them, I think.
Yeah, of course, Marco's going to be up there, maybe even J. Cole as well, the two McLarens. It's going to be one of the most epic battles you've seen in a long time. So I'm excited to see what Ben and Callum could do tonight with this, with them further ahead of each other. So I hope you're all looking forward to it as well. And he even says, Ben Mills, he's been successful in Canada before, and he is going to hopefully learn from his mistakes if I need to switch to inters. Luckily, it's not going to rain. Quite a lot of drivers, though, that in the pre-race interviews was hoping for rain, Lukey being one of them. He's hoping it will be rain. And quite a lot of drivers were even saying in the pre-race interviews that they were liking their teammates, and one of which is Chris and Axelot. Chris was saying they understand each other and very successful with his teammates, even though they haven't raced for a long time. It's like it hasn't been that long, it's just been a few months. It's sometimes interesting to look at these teammate pairings that they choose. If you are good friends, then potentially you just chat right there, even though you haven't raced. But Chris and Mark have always got along, so that's always great to see.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, they've gone back many seasons in One Hub where they have battled each other many times, back when Axoc was under the tag of Scorpion Hun, all the way back in those days. So a very like long history between the pair of them. So good friendship bonded between them as well.
Yes, and I think there's a few other drivers that I think we've seen being getting on well. Of course, some people not being in parties with each other, but they were still communicating before the race, which is very, very great to see as well. Robite is finding his teammate being very good. And as drivers were asked about if Canada was their strongest track, Robite was saying that he's looking forward to Spa more. Ben saying he tends to go well here, like you were saying. Lukey saying one of his weaker tracks, same with Casper. J. Cole said, interestingly, that he liked it last season, a couple of games ago, but now he doesn't like it. But I think it's probably because of the dirty air, isn't it? Because you look at your tyre wear, the fronts, they're absolutely fine, but the rears, they just wear off so quickly.
Yeah, and obviously the dirty air as well just gives you understeer through the corners, which a lot of the drivers, there's a decent amount of understeer that you will accept, but when it starts to go over the edge, that's when people begin to hate on the understeer. But yeah, the game is just it's just tailor-made for strategy this time, Jess, and I'm actually here for it because the undercut is still very powerful.
It still is as well. If you, the only reason why you may not be doing the undercut is during a safety car, and you may have to double stack. Will we see that tonight? Will we see a safety car maybe before the first stops are due to happen, which will be before lap 10 potentially, or lap 8 or 9, and it would force teammates that are quite close together to have to double stack? We don't know. We're going to have to wait and see. But the drivers will be readying up, so we will be getting ready soon. A massive shout out to Tony, a P1 champion of the past, still a legend at One Hub Racing, and he said crazy lap from Callum. I have to agree with that one as well. And high aces, crazy work from Callum and Ben, and now Marco, of course, as well. So before we jump into the main event and ask Mike for his predictions, let's go through our sponsors. Of course, one of them being Next Level Racing. They sponsor the league by providing many prizes for our drivers. More to be confirmed. Make sure you follow us on our socials at One Hub Racing. Of course, we've got Pure Sim Gear that are providing a pair of gloves or socks to the driver that has the most combined fastest laps and poles. And you can also get a 10% discount by using the code I'm trying to remember now. 1OHR10P. Of course, we've got sim racing setups. They're providing quite a few prizes this season. The winner of the sim racing setup driver of the day in each tier each week wins a £10 voucher. And the driver of the season wins a £100 voucher. And of course, you can get 5% off all sim racing setups by using the code OneHubRacing. We also got our partners Vespertine that support our championship apparel and merch, and also provide prizes such as the Going Gets Tough Award prize and our One Hub Racing driver rankings. And finally, our partners at SimGrid. Without SimGrid, we wouldn't be having lovely standings. We would have to do forms and spreadsheets, and that'd be an absolute nightmare. But we're about to get underway with some racing. Mike, tell us your top three.
Ooh, I'm gonna go Ben for the win, Marco second, Callum third.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna go Ben P1, Callum P2. Oh, it's gonna be the same, similar, isn't it? And I'm gonna go with Marco P3. But it does depend on who's gonna pick up penalties, because it could ruin you otherwise. So we've all gone for similar predictions, as you just probably heard. So let us know your predictions in the chat. You can get involved. Make sure you follow us on Twitch and also subscribe to us on YouTube if you haven't already. Follow us on socials at One Hub Racing on X and Instagram and TikTok and all that. We post quite regularly on there, so you can get informed about what is going on. Nice to see quite a lot of you still streaming. Oh, it would help if I had the right image up. I had round 1 instead of round 2. You could tell that I was in a rush to get the stream ready, right? Yeah, probably. Mark is predicting Axelot for the win. And I won't be surprised if Tony goes for Callum either. So, interesting predictions there, Mike.
Yeah, interesting indeed. One driver I'm going to say that is going to have a good race is going to be our fellow commentator J. Cole, and actually both our fellow commentators Colin and J. Cole, I think, are both going to have good races here.
Hey, there you go. Of course, J. Cole got the sim racing setup driver of the day in P1, so it's last week to be fair, and he's hoping to get another one because the vouchers do rack up, and who knows, if people get 4 vouchers in a season, they could get an F125 bundle. You never know. So we are about to get underway. We got the 5 red lights on here for round 2 of season 27, and we are go. Cam gets a good start from Ben Mills. We got furious escaping position from Axelot as they make their way towards turn number 1. No huge major instances so far, but you can see Colin Mason and Aaron White trying to fend off in towards turn number 2. You can see both of the Racing Bulls working together there, as well as Kieran stays in P4, but no major dramas in lap 1 so far, but you never know, as we can see one of the Williams of Lukey going side by side with Pelzi, and Nick also fighting with them as well in the background. Oh, this is nail biting stuff with the back at least, but for the front guys at least, they're keeping it relatively clean, Mike.
Yeah, all clean so far from everyone involved, and of course those two had to have a battle straight away, didn't they, Lukey and Nick? It's good to see that the rivalry lives on between the pair of them. Interesting though, Jess. Lukey's gone for a set of the soft compound tyres.
Oh, interesting. So probably he thinks it's going to be an early safety car. So he might have gone for a balanced option. We don't know. We know the softs could be an absolute nightmare. As Ben's right on the back of Callum, heading towards the final corner past the wall of champions. And we're going to see the DRS enabled. Interestingly, we got 2 other drivers that have gone for the stuff outside the norm as well. Jacob's gone for a set of the hards, and so is Alexa. So they wanted to go for something different, or maybe they forgot to choose the tyres and gone for the hards instead, which it is possible. Meanwhile, Curry goes down the inside of Chris in towards turn 2. Nicely done, and up into 16th position. But I think we've seen people still win a DRS train, but I'm keeping my eye on Colin because he is trying his best to stay within a DRS train, but it's just not working for him right now. He's got Owen right on the back of him right now, and this could be advantage Sauber and disadvantage Ferrari, which is not what we want to see. So lots of action happening at the moment, but I think we're going to start to see the ones without DRS start to be vulnerable, as one of the Williams has had a bit of a knob. That is Lukey that almost had a bit of a squirm. Luckily, he's got the car back on track.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think my connection might be a little bit struggling right now, as I'm seeing a lot of lag, but I'm watching the stream and there's no lag going on in the lobby, so I think I might potentially be struggling a little bit, Jess.
No worries, that's not a problem indeed. Meanwhile, Owen has the DRS and gets past Colin, but he almost had a bit of a slide going towards the final corner, so that's allowing likes of Colin to close up. And look at that, J. Cole tried to go around the outside of Colin towards turn 1 and 2. Can he make the move stick on lap 3 of 35? Colin is not going to give up easy. He's going to be defend, but J. Cole is up into 9th place. All that fighting's allowing Owen to pull off massively and almost make sure that these two not get a DRS, but Colin's going to fight back. He's not going to let this one go, isn't he? This is amazing. And we also got Owen's teammate of Pelzy not that far behind him either. I absolutely love this fight between all four of them, actually. This is a really great midfield battle. We got the Colin train pretty much right now.
Yep, all aboard the Colin train right now, but J. Cole in front of Colin, and J. Cole, no DRS for him. He's going to be under some serious pressure from not only Colin, but maybe even Pelzy and Lukey as well.
Yep, I think we know with DRS, it's probably one of the most powerful tracks to have DRS on in this back straight, as Colin does get past J. Cole once again, but he was a bit more planted in towards the final corner. Colin is going to hope that J. Cole and Pelzy have a little bit of a ding-dong, but Colin knows that J. Cole is a fast driver. I have to say, I'm impressed with J. Cole at the moment, keeping up with Cole, and he is on hard, so I was expecting him to fall off, but he's doing quite well, so he's going to be a huge threat towards the end of the race. Lukey not faring so well on those softs. Those softs are already starting to die, and Nick and Ricardo are catching up ever so slightly. Furious is doing pretty well in 5th, but he's going to be left vulnerable to Casper and Axel anytime soon because he's out of DRS here. So, yeah, the medias for some people seem to be working quite well, but for some people they seem to be struggling.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think for a lot of drivers, maybe their setups just a little bit loose, causing a bit of sliding, which is obviously wearing their tyres out and heating them up just a little bit too much as well, which of course is not going to help them in the long run. As J. Cole closes in on Colin, but doesn't look like he's close enough to go for a move this time. Pelzy just sitting in behind. Lukey just sliding his way through the final chicane as Nick picks up a 3-second time penalty. And with Lukey on those soft tyres, I'm expecting to see him in the pits in the next 2 laps, I'm going to say.
I think 1 or 2 laps, I agree, yes, because the softs are really starting to die now. It's pretty much going to be left vulnerable to lose pace on the likes of Pelzy and J. Cole. So if Lukey doesn't get a move on, then he really is going to have to pit very soon, which is going to be very unfortunate for him. But it's always nice to have a little bit of a gamble. If you're watching P3 earlier, there was a safety car quite instantly. I think there was 3 or 4 safety cars in P3, which was quite a lot, and they were all in succession, pretty much. So let's hope for some drivers they're not going to have the same. For Lukey, they're going to hope for a safety car, as we are seeing lockouts from some drivers. Of course, some drivers opted to use hardly any assist, so they will probably have life a little bit more difficult as we head towards the hairpin. Tops 2 still staying exactly as they are. Ben Mills still leading with Callum in P2 and Marco in P3. They're just getting on with it right now. They don't want to push too much as they just start to save their time before they head on to their first stop, as Lukey, as I thought, is coming in for his first stop, and Curry comes in, Mike.
Yep, Lukey, obviously, as we expected to come into the pits, Curry looks like a front wing change for him, so maybe a little bit of a knock on one of the walls when he exited the chicanes has hindered his opening stint, but he's matching the strategy from Lukey now, so we'll see if Curry can put his new wing to use and start putting in some good lap times.
Yeah, we are going to see, actually, as they go through. So I wonder if the times are going to help in terms of the undercut as well. And you're probably going to lose less time by coming into the pits now. But the question is for Lukey, how much tires does he have left in terms of, like, quantity? Has he gone for more mediums or has he gone for more hards? But the way this has gone, he's pitted onto hards. So he has some more flexibility later. So he can go on mediums if he wants to, or he can go on hards if he wants to. He doesn't care as Alexa gets past Chris. J. Cole's had a bit of a moment and he's lost a bit of ground. I'm annoyed that I missed that on the camera as Colin and Pelsey side by side towards turn one. Colin cuts to the inside, Pelsey to the outside as they almost went a bit too deep there as Pelsey is dropped down into 9th place. And J. Cole has lost a lot of ground there and Colin just got a 3-second time penalty in turn 4.
Yeah, I was just on board with J. Cole there as he came for the final chicane, lost the back end, and you know what? He almost done an Ivor spin Mike, and that would have been heartbreaking considering how much he likes to use that name for me.
Yeah, I mean, that was a bit frustrating that J. Cole's lost a bit of ground, but he's still got plenty of ground still to make up. Well, we're only on lap 7 of 35, and it won't be that long before people make their first pit stops of the race. Now, Marco seems to be losing ground to the top 2, and that's going to be allowing Kieran to really start to wheel them in. Kieran's looking very good with his pace at the moment. He's been pushing for consistent lap times. And meanwhile, his teammate of Casper comes into the pit lane. And I won't be surprised if Casper goes on to another... Nope, he's going on to a set of hards. So that's the strategy I was expecting people to go on. It's medium, hard, potentially. But I know people might go for medium, medium. But medium, hard will probably be the way to go. That was a very good exit from Kieran as he makes his way through turn 6 and 7. Is he going to get the run on Marco in towards this corner? I don't think he's going to. He's going to wait until he gets into the next DRS zone of turn 11 before he goes and makes the move. But Marco, I'm just a bit wary about him at the moment because I'm looking at his ERS. Hasn't got a lot to use up, which is going to be disadvantage Marco, advantage Kieran.
Yeah, I think what Marco's done there is try to use his ERS, get as close as possible back up to Callum and Ben, and then he's going to try and work with Kieran as a temporary thing to close back up to the top 2.
Yeah, potentially. They got to work together at this point. Yes, they're not teammates, but they can't afford to fight too much. As we got more pitters, Atslot comes in. Ricardo's just picked himself a penalty. Colin comes into the pit as well. We saw Casper pit a moment ago. Casper is going to be the benchmark, and we know it's one of the shortest pit lanes on the calendar, so we know that it's going to be very key to get the undercut right. So they're all going to be coming out then, and we know that Casper is going to come out comfortably in front of Atsalot. So that's going to be crucial. Not by much, though, but it shows that the undercut really does work. Colin just behind, just ahead, sorry, of Lukey, but Colin has a time penalty. Lukey does not. We got about 8 drivers that have picked up time penalties so far. I won't be surprised if we'll see more. Callum unarmed. Again, he is not going to try and go for the move just yet. I won't be surprised if he waits until the final lap. And speaking of penalties, Casper has just picked up 1 penalty.
Yeah, and I'm wondering right now if either Marco or Kieran's going to come into the pits, and Marco is. So Marco has pulled the trigger into the pit lane. He'll come, and this will be for what looks like a set of the hard compound tyres, Jess.
Yep, hard tyres he goes for Marco. So he's going to be the first of our leaders to come into the pit lane. So that's probably going to trigger a response for Ben and Callum. As Owen is in, and Ricardo is in too. So that's going to trigger a response for us only. But look at Casper. Look at Casper in P11 on track. It's going to be close out of the pit lane between Casper and Marco. But Marco just about goes ahead of Casper. So Marco, of course, being miles ahead as we got a yellow flag. That was Marco's teammate that's had a bit of an off in the Wall of Champions. And it looked like he lost half his front wing. Or he might have just had a spin. I don't know. But, yeah, Curry's down in 18th. Not the start that he wants for his One Hub Racing return.
No, absolutely not. And it's just been a very long race for Curry so far tonight. And it's not the race that you'd want. But there's that old saying, just... You never know what can happen in Formula One, and one safety car can bring him right back into it.
Yes, indeed. No safety cars so far. We got 4 drivers that come into the pit, including Ben and Callum. So they had to come in at this point, because otherwise Marco's just going to gain so much more time. So here comes Marco now. We're seeing Casper and Axelot having a battle, so we will get through that in just a moment. So Marco's making his way in towards T1. Callum and Ben has gone past him. Meanwhile, Axelot and Casper... Axelot has got past Casper in towards T2 and he is through. So there we go. So your order then so far out of your net is Callum lead from Ben Mills, from Kieran, from Marco. So it's pretty much status quo, as it were.
Kieran able to get out of the pit lane ahead of Marco, so that's going to be big for Kieran. Of course, they got Alexa in front, who's out of sync in the same way that Callum's got J. Cole, his teammate, in front of him, who's out of sync also. So maybe we see a little bit of McLaren team orders with J. Cole and Callum to hold up Ben. And this could be interesting with Alexa being a bit of a roadblock in that for Marco now.
Kieran eventually gets past Alexa. Marco has got to do the same thing, and Alexa has come into the pits. Kieran's got a penalty. Now, that was a very weird cut.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened there. I think potentially, obviously, I saw a big lock-up and a puff of smoke. I was on board with Marco at the time. Potentially, we might have just had Alexa locking up the tyres, going into the back of Kieran, which caused him to cut the corner. Potentially, it did look very close between the pair of them.
Yeah, it does. It does. And it could have been a big disaster class for them, as Colin picks up another 3 seconds. So that puts him into 6 seconds. The penalties are ramping up, Mike. And if you do pick up no penalties, you're going to definitely be rewarded come the end of the race, especially if we get a late safety car. But we still have all 18 drivers in this race, as Ben Mills is right on the back of Callum's gearbox as we head towards now turn 12. Now you can see Callum is going to get past J. Cole, and I thought J. Cole was going to fight Ben Mills then, but he doesn't. So J. Cole was expecting both Callum and Ben there as they're making through. Of course, J. Cole, it's not their battle, so J. Cole will come into the pits, and of course J. Cole's on the hard tyres. If he gets a safety car now, this will be golden opportunity for him, as Kieran to the inside of Marco in towards T1. We just caught the end of it. He is through into P4. Furious, don't forget, he's got no penalties thus far. He is in contention for the podium too. And of course, Kieran has a penalty, Furious doesn't. So this could work up really, really well for him if he keeps this up.
Yeah, Furious well in this fight for the final podium position at the moment. Of course, Marco, it doesn't look like Marco is entirely comfortable around this circuit, Jess. It's not the Marco that we're used to here. No,
it seems to me that he was absolutely fine and he was matching the pace of Callum and Ben early on in the race, but as soon as he gets towards the middle or end of his stint, that's where he starts to struggle. And that's why he's lost all that time, and he's having to now fight Kieran. He's having now to fight Furious and Axelot. And even Casper as well is in this fight. So he has lost a lot of ground. Jacob, I believe, has come in. I just saw 2 drivers pick up a penalty. Axelot, one of them.
Marco.
I didn't see who the other one. Marco was one of them.
Marco.
Okay, thank you, Mike. So yeah, 2 drivers picking up penalties in the same corner, which is very, very common there as well. Lap 14 of 35, almost halfway into this race. J. Cole goes on to a set of the mediums. I would expect he'll go on double mediums. We only got about 4 drivers that got no penalties, which is Pelzy, Owen, Chris, and Ben Mills and Callum. And we know with Owen, he is a driver that does well with picking up 0 penalties. We saw that last week in Silverstone. He finished, I think, was it P7? Because he kept it clean. So I think with some drivers, they're going to try and aim for 0 penalties and just keep it clean.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, we saw how a late safety car can affect things, Jess, in P2 earlier on. Of course, the late safety car came out. Those that picked up multiple time penalties finished a bit lower than probably where they would have finished without the safety car. So it's always ideal to stay penalty free. So if they can keep it up, they're going to be on for a great race.
Yeah, and we know with Ben Mills during practice, I think I don't think he picked up any warnings during practice, Ben Mills. So he is very good at keeping it clean around here, but it depends how much practice you would have done and stuff like that. So I think with some drivers, they're going to be more comfortable, but there might be certain drivers that won't be. So, you know, they're just going to hope there's no safety cars and they will be absolutely fine, hunky-dory. So that is going to be interesting there. Not much battles happening in terms of moves right now, except if you're on the Kieran train. Never mind, as I just went off board the shot. Ben Mills has just got past Callum, and they're saying, you think there's going to be no battles? Well, we're going to change that, sunshine. So Ben's got through on Callum. Callum's now going to have the DRS in towards turns 10 and 11 then. Of course, DRS chicken is banned, but Callum did defend from Ben Mills in turn 8. So Callum's going to try and get past Ben in towards the penultimate corner. They're starting to fight a bit more, which is very great to see, because I know in the first half of the race, they were just saving tyres. Now they're really starting to push.
Yeah, absolutely. Now they're starting to push. They're getting their elbows out with each other. And this is, if you are Kieran and Marco here, and you're seeing the times change, obviously Ben and Callum swapping places, this is the time where you really want to be, as we said earlier, possibly working together momentarily, DRS trading with each other, because if they're fighting, they're losing time. And we've seen Kieran close up by about a few tenths while they were fighting. So this is the time to work together.
Yep, you have to work together at this point, especially with the train, I think, growing massive. And Owen's in this train as well. So you probably wouldn't be expecting this, but because all these 3 are just fighting, it's allowing Owen to catch up to them as well. He's on mediums, don't forget. And Owen must be frustrated that he's stuck behind the ones who are on hard tyres, because we don't know if Owen has got a spare set of mediums left, because he started, no he hasn't, because he started on the mediums. He's got to either go on to a set of hards or go on to a set of softs. With the softs, they get to the end. So if I was Owen, potentially pit early in about 3 or 4 laps time for the undercut and go on for a set of the hard compounded tyres and get to the end of this Grand Prix, and you're going to gain a massive undercut on them. Casper, by the way, goes into the pit lane. He does not want to be stuck behind this battle, which is understandable. He's going to go on to a set of the hard until the end. I wasn't expecting for them to go on hards this early on. They're going to slide right towards the end of the race, as I experienced during practice earlier.
Yeah, Casper thinking maybe it's more beneficial to get out into a bit of clear air and then start pushing on fresh hards. But in terms of the air he's in right now, I think he just has Robite in front of him. Once he gets past him, he has a whole 4.7 seconds of clear air to push into.
Yeah, Robite's the only driver in front of him, so I think he was probably glad that he's not stuck behind any more cars, but he knows that Robite will have to pit one more time, and Robite is going to try and stretch his tyres for a little bit longer, as we have got Ben Mills that's past Callum. They're going to be switching DRSs like no tomorrow, it looks like. Benji's a bit more ERS, it looks like, than Callum unarmed. So Callum could use that to attack more. As Pelzy, by the way, switches past Lukey into P9. Owen goes into the pits. He saw that one of his rivals had come in, so he had to, I think, ideally do the same there. So he's going to come in, and it's probably going to be very close between these lot as well. So Owen does go on to the hard compounded tyres. Again, a few laps earlier than intended, but probably, Mike, they have better tyre wear than us. So that's why they're in the P1 tier and not the P2 tier, of course. So Owen is going to lose quite a bit of time coming out the pits. He's lost about 3 seconds, but he can still gain quite a bit of time from that, as Lukey has picked up another 3-second time penalty. Speaking of time penalties, by the way, I'll get them up very quickly on my screen. Colin has got the most 3-second time penalties. It's not going well for the Welshman.
No, and potentially he might have picked up the most time penalties out of all the Welsh drivers in one hub tonight, which he has. He's definitely not going to be happy about it.
How many did you get? Was it 3 seconds?
6.
Oh, 6. Oh. So Colin has definitely got the most out of the Welshman. I'm almost certain Callum has got no warnings either. So the top two are just running away with it right now, as I thought we saw more people in the pits. And speaking of penalties, Pelzy has got another one. It seems to me the P1 tier are finding it harder to keep it clean in terms of track limits, as Owen Wyatt just picked up his first one.
Yeah, and that's big, because Owen was in such a fantastic spot to maybe sneak a podium at the end of this race with no penalties, but that penalty now kind of equals things for him. Marco still not pushing for the move on Kieran. He's happy to sit in behind, but Furious has gotten close a few times, and I think Furious might be getting a little bit impatient of Marco not trying to get past Kieran.
Yes, I think there's a few people who are just playing it safe until we get the final stint later on in the race, because we are expecting those hards to go 15, 16 laps, and we know it's going to be considerably newer than the likes of Casper, who is down in 13th position. So they're going to stretch out and feel the pain now. And then as we get towards the end of the race, then we're going to see those two really start to have a bit of a ding-dong battle as well. Kieran is going to try and defend for his life here. He doesn't have to worry about the wet, luckily, so he can try and definitely go on the long tyre. Kieran, whatever you do, don't pick the softs. It just doesn't last here. It's an absolute nightmare. I know he won't. I'm just playing games. As Pelzy gets past Colin up into 7th position.
Yep, Pelzy on those 9-lap old mediums making moves still. And of course, the mediums, they still felt, I don't know about what's called the practice that you've done, Jess, but the mediums still felt good around this stage, 9 laps in. So the mediums still got a bit
they felt quite good, yeah. When I was doing practice this afternoon, it just felt, I think, really, really all right. Maybe I should have done two mediums earlier on, but didn't really think of that. But yeah, I think for quite a lot of drivers, they seem to like those medium tyres, which is a lot better compared to other circuits. As Ricardo's picked himself up a penalty as well, as J. Cole passed Ricardo. We're past the halfway distance of the race, but Ricardo is going to be going a different line through this corner. And as you were saying earlier, Mike, they can take alternate lines around this part of the track and they can still make it work, as Ricardo sends it up the inside, past J. Cole, up into 11th spot. We do not know who had the DRS. I think it was J. Cole that had the DRS. Nick goes in into the pit lane. He goes in onto, I believe, a set of the hards, because he hasn't used the hards for any of the race at all. So he comes in. Road Bike does exactly the same thing. So that just leaves, I believe, I will get you your pit stops on your screen. So the only ones that have done their 2 stops are Casper, Owen, Nick, Road Bike, and now Curry. As I thought Chris was going to do a stop then, but no, Chris is having a ding-dong bite with Nick as they make their way towards turn 3. Chris, of course, gets past because Nick's tyres are still finding it hard to warm up right now, but it won't be that long before Nick gets past, I think.
Yeah, I think the DRS down the back straight, Jess, is going to be where Nick will try and get the move done. He might even go for it here, but he'd be wiser to sit in behind and just wait for the long straight down the
Oh!
back. As
Furious is out the race. That was
Furious,
an
safety
awful
car.
crash. Safety car. Apparently, Marco and Furious made contact. Now, will that be investigated by the stewards? And he was my dark horse. And he's out of it. He's gonna be furious.
Oh, Marco, he's gone for a set of the soft compound tires.
That is Marco's race done. He was figured out was going to be safety car right at the end of the race, but not now. But you know what? This has helped. Our top four. Our top four are absolutely loving life right now because they could pit. But you know who's going to love it even more? The ones that have got no penalties in the top four. Ben Mills, Callum Unarmed. Surely that does mean it's going to be one of those two that wins the race, unless one or both of them make a massive mistake, like we saw Marco.
Yeah, absolutely. Unless there's any mistakes on either of them, it is between Ben and Callum now.
So we will watch it as it goes on, but we know that the safety car, you do gain, I think, more time than if you're not winning safety car when you come in to the pit lane. And there could be times where people could speed into the pit lane. I did that earlier on, and it was an absolute nightmare, and it cost me a podium. And Ricardo, drive-through penalty for speeding on the safety car. And don't forget, Mike, you can't serve a drive-through under safety car, so you have to serve it a lap after we go green. So Ben, Callum, all come through on a set of the mediums, which I think could work. Kieran comes in. Let's see what he goes on mediums as well. Axel goes with me. All the top four have gone to a set of the medium. Marco's gone in. Oh, yeah, to serve his 10 seconds, I reckon.
To get off those soft tires as well, I think.
Yeah, yeah, both of that. So, yeah, serving his 10 seconds and getting rid of his soft tires.
Well, I'll tell you one person who's going to be absolutely loving life right now, Jess. The man that is sat all the way down in P16. Chris, no penalties to his name. And he's just, bunched back up to the whole pack.
And he could be awarded. Don't forget, we saw that in P2. Rich was like 7th or 8th, wasn't he? And then he was one of the only ones that had no penalties. He went up into P4, I believe. So,
Yep.
Could we see a Chris podium?
Potentially. The same thing happened with Mikey as well. Mikey jumped up a few positions in P2 also due to not having a penalty to his name.
Yeah, he did. Oh, no, he had 3 seconds, wasn't it? He had 3 seconds, and I think he he still gained quite a few places, actually, because quite a lot of people around him had like 6 seconds. So...
Yeah, I know myself and Larkin did in front. We both had 6 seconds, so I think he might have jumped the pair of us, potentially.
Yeah, and if you are on 6 seconds, as I'll see the tires. Thank you, Waits. Those are your tire strategy. We've got a mixed bag at the moment. Top 4 hards, no, medium, sorry. Casper's on hards as well as Owen and Pelzy. Colin, Lukey, Ricardo, Jacob's on mediums. Nick Robite is on hards. Marco's on mediums. Alexa's on mediums, and so is Chris. So there we go. Those are your tyres, and Curry is on 8-lap-old hard tyres then. So, now, if I were the ones that have got 6 seconds worth of penalties... Oh,
Curry.
What's happened there?
He's had a collision with
Kieran. He's a lap down, isn't he?
Yeah, from the looks of it, he looks like he misjudged coming into the pits and came in. Actually, no, it doesn't even look like he misjudged it. It looks
What's
like
going on? Ricardo's got a 10-second penalty for a new and yellow flag, and I think we saw Lukey do the same. This is weird.
Yeah, Lukey. I just want to put this out there now. Lukey, at this moment in the race, 19 seconds of time penalties. He's got to be very careful now.
He's going to be livid. He's going to be absolutely livid. The only way that he could be back in this race if he gets a safety car. Curry, he's going to be a lap down anyway, but he's probably going to be more than a lap down. But safety car is in this lap then, folks. Strap yourselves in, because we're going to be in for a final bit of this race, which is going to be epic. So Ben Mills is going to be leading the field away, and he gets a good restart past Callum. And for the second time tonight, we go green flag racing, and Curry's day has gone from bad to worse. He gets a 10-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane as he retired for the session, and that's not going to be good for his engine or gearbox wear. But we will look at that at the pre-race show in 2 weeks' time. But Ben Mills from Callum, from Kieran, from Axelot, from Owen, for Casper, from Owen, from Pelzy, from Colin. They're all rapidly closing in right now, and they're all being so clean. It got a bit of drama towards the safety car, but for now, very, very clean so far. But of course, Callum, if I was Callum and Ben, maybe just be a bit more calm in terms of your tyre life now, and then push towards the end.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think for Callum and Ben, is you just got to keep your head in situations like this now, because obviously everyone's bunched back up. Obviously you got Kieran and Axlock that potentially might fancy themselves maybe gain a position on each other, and maybe they have to try and get past Callum to get that done. And obviously in doing that loses Callum time, but they just need to make sure that they do not lose their heads, keep their heads in the right place, because both of them have the pace to just pull away. And speaking of pull away, Ben Mills almost pulled away out of DRS range already.
Wow, Ben is... I wonder if we're seeing different strategies between Ben and Callum right now. Is Ben maybe pushing too much? Or is Callum being maybe a bit more conservative with his tyre life? We don't know. They might be on different strategies. I thought they'll be on the same strategy personally, but which one will it work the favourite? Will it be the tyre conserving strategy, or will it be the one that pushes? But we saw Ben, how he was pushing quite a lot with his interstint last week, and he ended up getting a punch because of it. So you can't be too aggressive on this game. The top three, by the way, Mike, I'm running away with it. 2.1 seconds is the gap between Axelot and Kieran.
Yeah, and Kieran will be very happy just to sit on the back of these two and just get towed along by the pair of them, because he's pulling the gap away from anyone behind that could threaten him in terms of the time penalties. Of course, you'll see that Axlock has more time penalties to his name than what he has, but he's getting himself into a nice spot to pick himself up a podium here, and that'd be fantastic for Kieran.
Yeah, I'm sure Kieran will be very happy about that, because to be fair, quite a lot of drivers, without that mistake, they would have won, or they would have got a podium last week, Kieran being one of them. If he didn't go on those softs, he would have definitely been fighting with quite a lot of these guys for the podium. So Kieran looking very quick. Casper looking quite good as well, but he's a little bit further behind Axelot right now. So it is all about not making those mistakes. And for certain drivers, they may be one warning away of another penalty, and you do not want to get another penalty. And imagine you kept it clean throughout the entirety of the race, and boom, you get a penalty towards the end. We do not want to see that from Ben Mills or Callum Unarmed towards the end of that. We want them to keeping it squeaky clean so we can have a grandstand finish later on, and we can't wait for that. Make sure you do stay tuned in for that, as we're about to start lap 28. As most people are on the same tyres, it looks like majority of them are even on pace, but we got the Owen Wyatt train in P6. He's got no, it's a Casper train, sorry, in P5 with Owen, Pelzy, Colin and Lukey right behind. As Kieran has picked himself another one now. So that is that Kieran up to 6 seconds. Yeah, those are your penalties again. That's not looking good if you got 6 seconds or more.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna lie, Jess, a driver which the safety car has really hindered. And of course, looking at just the pace and the ERS usage, Marco has used an awful lot of ERS just to try and keep onto the back of this train with that Casper is leading. So Marco really struggling around this circuit, which is surprising.
I was expecting him to do well. Yeah, I was expecting him to do well, but sometimes if you get involved in an incident, something like that could just throw you, and you just got to let that forget. You got to forget that instant. You got to focus on the here and now. You got to focus on what's in front of you, not what happened beforehand. Forget about the past. Think about the now and the future, and that's what Marco's got to do. And I think for him, he should have been a lot higher, but there was quite a lot of mistakes that Marco might have made. And now there's another penalty for Colin Mason. 12 seconds for him. He's going to drop way down the order, probably in dead last place, which is not what he wants for his attempted redemption race. We're almost on going to be, well, we're in the middle of lap 29 right now. Callum unarmed. I'm just keeping an eye on this ERS. Hardly used any. Ben Mills hardly used any as well. But Kieran is just burning quite a lot, Mike, just to stay in touch and distance with these two.
Yeah, I think Kieran, he knows he's not going to take a race win, but the one thing that he's trying to do is pretty much try and guarantee himself the podium, and the more that he can stay with the top two and just get towed along with DRS, the better it is for him. I mean, look at that gap. It's 4 seconds, 4.1 as DRS is activated for Kieran, so that gap's only going to continue to increase as long as he stays with these two in front.
Yeah, I'm excited to see how that develops. But meanwhile, Marco eventually tries to get the move past Jacob. Did see more time penalties go up my screen, but there was a lot that popped up at once, so it was very hard to tell there. But Marco did eventually go through. They did take him a while, but he's got to get past a few more drivers in the process in order to be able to do this. I will get the tyres back up on your screen so you can see what tyres are on. Expect the medium tyres with some people to drop off a little bit. So I'm keeping my close eye on Pelsy's pace towards the end of the race as he closes in on this pack. There's going to be on very old and very worn tyres as we head to... It looks quite clear at the moment, not overcast, but we got Marco who's going to try and get past Lukey now to the right hand side and towards turn 8. It's going to be very risky. Lukey cuts a bit of the corner in the process. And look at Jaco. Jaco, what a move. He's passed 2 cars in the space of 1 corner. And Lukey and Jaco almost, well, they do make contact. But I think Lukey might have got a bit of damage. It's hard to tell, really. But Jacob's up to 9th. Wow.
Yeah, and that is the worst case scenario for Marco. He just got past J. Cole. Of course, someone who is level with him in terms of the penalties and that as well. So J. Cole getting back in front of him is not ideal for Marco. I mean, also that little bit of scrapping that went on into the hairpin has meant that there's a bit of a gap now that's formed between them, and obviously Colin just about holding on to DRS range of Pelsey right now. And if Colin drops out of DRS range, this could be a very bad race or bad end to the race for J. Cole and Marco here.
Yeah, this could be, and that could potentially be curtains. That could be outside the point if you get too many penalties. So it's going to be a nightmare for them. So I think they just got to pretty much keep it relatively tidy now as we head towards the final few laps of the Grand Prix, as we got both of the kick Saubers going side by side. As hold on, boys, you don't want to go into teammate drama on round 2, but luckily they keep it clean, which is a huge relief because we don't want to see that much drama. But anyway, Owen just try to fight back. He's going to get the DRS. You don't want to be fighting too much because you're going to lose so much time up the front. But Pelsey stays ahead into P6 right now as he stays ahead of his teammate. Pelsey doing, I think, a stellar job in his second race with us at One Hub Racing. Yes, he's got penalties, but he is doing really good keeping up with the likes of Casper as well. So I have to say, one of the teams who I wanted to do well in this race were the Kick Saubers. And the Kick Saubers, both of them are doing a great job. And don't forget, Owen's going to gain a place of his teammate and maybe even Casper after this. So Owen would finish P5 if it stays like this.
Yeah, and Pelsey obviously going to be trying to look to get past Casper on the track and that, and limit how many places that he drops in terms of his time penalties. So I understand the switch between the pair of them. It is going to be interesting though to see if they're going to be able to do anything in terms of that gap to to Axlock, which is just growing by the second. And to be fair, I think Axlock is nailed on for P4 right now.
Yeah, I think Axlock has driven very well, and I think he's one of those drivers that has been under the radar, hasn't he? He's just
Here comes J. Cole. Oh, J. Cole and Owen. Oh, Owen's around.
Oh, Owen's round. Why have I missed all the drama? Oh my goodness. Owen's got no front wing, and he's going to be out the points now.
I was on board and saw that as Colin picks up another 3-second time penalty, but what I saw right there, J. Cole getting a fantastic run out of the chicane, moves towards the pit wall, so he has the inside for turn number 1, as J. Cole is around about halfway alongside. You got Owen that is moving across as well, just taking the race in line, and they come to contact, very reminiscent of the Button Hamilton incident from 2011, if you remember that.
Yeah,
in
I
real
do.
life. And yeah, just both of them then got locked onto each other, contact made, and Owen comes out on the wrong end of it.
Both ERT teammates as well.
Yeah.
That's going to be an interesting debrief at the end of this race between the two ERT teammates. As Pelsey, by the way, almost got past Casper, and I won't be surprised if Owen goes and retires from the race for that. But don't do that, because your engine wear and gearbox wear is going to suffer as a result. So I would encourage you to stay in this race. Fastest lap, and if you stay in, you will you won't get 2 times engine wear, which means you're more than likely, if you take an engine wear penalty next week, as long as you don't DNF, you should just about get to the end of the race if you attend every race. So there we go. Callum!
Oh no.
Callum has got a penalty. It's not going to affect him too much, but you know what this means. The fight that we were hoping to get for the race victory is done and dusted. Unless Ben makes a mistake, Ben's got this in the bag. Callum must be fuming.
Yeah, Callum's going to be fuming with that. Now what that does, Callum has to force Ben into a mistake. And that's going to mean that Callum's going to have to go for a move and get his elbows out and force Ben into mistakes. But the way Ben's driven so far today, it's just been absolutely impeccable. And he just hasn't put a foot wrong in this entire race.
He is not. He definitely is not. I mean, he was my pick, I believe, for the race win, because he was looking good in practice. He was just looking so dialed in. It's one of his favourite tracks, and he's one of those drivers that have not picked up time penalties. Meanwhile, we can see Casper had to go around the outside to defend off Jaco. Jaco is through into 6th place. Nick's through into 11th. Yellow flag. That must be for one Alexa that's had a bit of an off, unfortunately. So, but no damage for Alexa. But he's going to lose a place to Chris on that occasion. But we'll stay on board with Ben. I hope we're going to see a fight on track at least. That'll be exciting. But Ben Mills has driven a really great race. He has not put a foot wrong the entirety. He's had a great fight with Callum, and he is definitely going to redeem himself after him getting a punch last week. Ben past the wall of champions. That does not faze him. Mr. Ben Mills, just like he did in pre-season, wins here in Canada. Callum gets 2nd and Kieran gets 3rd. What a podium between the 3 of them. They were the class of the field today. No one else could top them. Great job. Axelot, I have to say, a really great performance from him. P4. Pelsey would have got 5th, but he's dropping down due to penalties. It'll be Jacob, Marco. I know there'll be quite a few people that will be investigated by the stewards. There's going to be a lot of stewarding penalties from this tier, I think. I think there's going to be quite a few from all 3 tiers tonight. I am sorry, stewards, if you're watching this, but yeah, there's going to be quite a lot there. But yeah, great race, I would have to say, but a bit unfortunate if you were Callum and Arm, because it was looking. I don't think I think he might have wanted to fight Ben if he did get that penalty, but it would have been a lot hard for him. But Ben Mills, definitely the star of this race.
Yeah, absolutely. From qualifying pace to his race start, both him and Callum getting off blisteringly well in the first stint. those two just controlled the race throughout the entirety, and Ben, crucially, keeping it clean on the track limits, no penalties to his name, and he just seemed to manage the race with Callum in behind once he got in front on that final stint.
Yeah, it seems to be an 11.2 for Ben Mills. So he gets the fastest lap of this race. So there you go. It's a shame he didn't get pole, but he has got the win anyway. So he gets maximum points here today. So Ben Mills from Callum and I'm, Kieran in third. At slot fourth, Jacob, Marco, Pelzy, Nick, Casper, Robite, Chris went from last to 11th. Due to him securing no penalty, so well done to him. Colin just about sneaks the last point. Then we got Lukey, Alexa, Owen, Ricardo, Curry, and then Furious. So that is your order. I did not see who got the fastest lap of the race there outside the top 10. I know who got it inside the top 10, but I didn't see who got it outside the top 10. But we now got to pick our sim racing setup driver of the day now. So I'm going to hand it over to you, Mike. Who is your sim racing setup driver of the day, and what would you like to ask him?
Ooh. I mean, it's a choice between two drivers here, really, and it's a choice between two, and it's gonna be a boring one, but I gotta give it to Ben. His pace throughout that race and just keeping it clean on track as well. Absolutely well deserved the race victory here. And my question to Ben would be, under immense pressure from Callum throughout the entirety of that final stint, how relieved was you at the end that the 3-second time penalty was picked up by Callum?
That, I think, is a good question and a worthy recipient of a Driver of the Day nomination. Now, my pick for Driver of the Day, it's been a lot easier compared to last week, because I'm going to go for someone who also redeemed himself after last week. It's got to be Kieran. His pace, he was matching pretty much the top two by quite a way. He got so lucky that there was trouble behind, and that allowed Kieran just to run his own race for a little bit. So my driver of the day will have to go to Kieran, and my question is, great redemption after last week's strategy disaster class. Were you expecting to keep up with the likes of Callum and Ben and sneak to P3 on the podium? And a big well done to you, Kieran. So that is my question. So Ben and Kieran are our nominees. You'll be able to, well, if you're on Discord and if you're a driver, you'll be able to vote tomorrow evening when the voting goes live. But we've got no race next week, Mike, because we have got a break week whilst everyone here in the United Kingdom enjoys our lovely bank holiday weekend. So we won't be racing until the 31st of August, where we head to Zambor. So Ben, of course, will be enjoying the break week because he is want a race. But for certain drivers, they're probably going to be glad that the break week is happening. The one and only break week of the season, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. There's going to be some drivers that will use this break week to really get their heads into the season, because of course when we come back on the 31st, as you said, Jess, there's no more breaks. So every single week is all about what you're going to do at that next circuit, and everyone is going to be looking to try and improve on the opening two rounds. There'll be a lot of reflection, I think, from several drivers on the grid on how they can improve.
Yeah, and for quite a lot of people, it was the first few races that they raced against each other for a long time, so they were a little bit rusty, of course. So I think they probably would have learnt their lessons, and it'll be interesting to see what the stewards think of a certain incidents that happened and how it will get reported, but we'll have to wait and see, of course. But we wrap up then for 2 weeks for One Hub Racing. We hope you enjoyed all 3 streams tonight. We certainly did. So a final mention of our sponsors. Massive shout out to the likes of Next Level Racing that are providing prizes for us this season. Sim racing setups where if you use the code One Hub Racing at checkout, you could get a F1 25 bundle. It has the likes of intermediate setups, dry setups, and wet setups, as well as stable and esports setups too alike. Of course, we've got Pure Sim Gear that are providing a pair of Pure Sim Gear gloves or socks to the driver that has the most combined fastest laps and pole positions. We got our partners at Vespertine that are supporting our championship apparel and also provide our merch. We also got our partners at SimGrid. Without SimGrid, we would have the lovely forms. We will have to do forms and spreadsheets, and it'll be an absolute nightmare. Mr. Edwards, any final words before we have a well-deserved 2-week break? Well, 1 week break.
Honestly, from the first 2 rounds that we've seen here in P1, it's going to be a long season and a very exciting season, and I'm looking forward to coming back in a fortnight's time to seeing how it all unfolds. But yeah, looking forward to the break now, Jess.
I think I am as well. I think we both need it after a horror show that we both had earlier on in our races. But there we go. So for myself and Mike Edwards, we'll see you in about 2 weeks' time for that. Inside the Stewards Room will be our next stream, but that will be not next Friday because, again, it'll be a break week. It will be on the 29th. So our next stream on the channel will be on the 29th of August. So make sure you tune in then. So thanks for watching. Enjoy your break week, because we certainly will be, and we will see you in just under 2 weeks' time for the P1 tier around Zandvoort. Will it rain? Well, I hope not, but some of the drivers hope so. Goodbye.